Alright, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for My Hero Academia, Season 3, Episode 18.
Whew. Already 3/4 of the way through the third season.
Wow.
It's crazy to think about.
Wow. Yeah, and the provisional license exam has not ended yet.
That's right.
We have showcased a lot of characters. We left off with Bakugo, Kirishima, and Kaminari dealing with a guy with a really freaky quirk.
Yeah.
Really strong.
Yeah.
But could be interesting. It seems like the kind of thing where you need them to have some kind of time limit on their little, like, squishy whatever things. Otherwise,
hopefully. Or at least hopefully
much.
they're safe from the AoE attacks of Kaminari and Bakugo. Because otherwise that could be problematic.
Yeah, because that can't be permanent, right?
Yeah, I mean, they made Kirishima soft.
He middies
He's not
them.
hard anymore.
He middies them. Like,
let's not talk about that.
Yeah, but Momo, Suyu, Shoji, and Jiro have dealt with their group there, so they're doing well.
Yep.
Deku is with Sero and Uraraka, and they have their own problems to deal with.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this is going to be the kind of thing where, like the tournament, we have a little bit of subversion where, you know, the main character maybe doesn't even make it through this because this is the provisional license exam, so it's obviously not like, you know, going to go on their permanent record like you failed this exam, so therefore you can never be a hero.
One of the things I'd be interested in seeing, and they probably won't do this, but if they did something where, because losing on the provisional license exam, there's no penalty, it's just that you don't make it, they could have something where they get to the end and it's like, hey, we're not going to make it, just tap us real quick. You know, that way you can still get through.
That would be kind of cool. I don't think that'll happen. I feel like people are going to keep winning in groups, and then it'll all work out okay. Yeah. But looking forward to seeing if they bring up the whole obviously Toga situation again.
Yeah.
That was kind of like segued out because of the interference of other students and stuff.
Right, because there are a lot of players involved right now. So,
But yeah, looking forward to seeing what comes next. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, cool. So they've all passed.
Yep. That was a bit like, okay, I want to say that was surprising, but at the same time, it's My Hero Academia, and they love doing stuff like this, so... Yeah,
it feels good to have them all have their moment, essentially, at least for the most part.
Their moment to shine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Ioma being the one that is the beacon that brings them all together.
I loved that.
It was such a fun thing because we were thinking about it from a more, like, competitive standpoint of, like, Ioma being like, I'm not going to be able to help much. Like, my quirk is weird. My quirk is not really helpful.
It's not going to help me with actually, like, hitting people. So.
Yeah, just do this. And yet it had the perfect result, which makes total sense that all of UA being split up.
They're like, oh, we recognize that.
Yeah,
we know
there's
what that
no
is.
one else that has a quirk. It's a laser, like that colored everything. And they're like, awesome.
And one of the things that's super awesome about this is that it's showing how basically, you know, even though he didn't have something that was very good for the particular situation, and he's thinking, okay, I don't think I can do anything, he took his own quirk, that in a lot of ways could be seen as a negative thing, as a detrimental thing, and he turned it into a positive,
and also he wouldn't have been able to do this without all of his training that allows him to actually be able to fire off his belly button laser
for a decent amount of time,
that amount of time to where everyone could see it, because the thing is, I don't think it makes a large amount of noise. It's just a twing, kind of thing. So everyone has to be turning and looking in that direction at some point.
And if it only lasts for like a second or two, they'll just be like, what was that?
What was that? Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, okay, no, just...
It's like 10, 12, 15 seconds or something up there. It's just like, Ioma! And then they can all group up together. And guys, like, this is the other thing. The girl, we got her name, Kami. Her name. Toga, basically. Like,
watch. If it ends up not being Toga, we'll just be like, well, okay. Now,
but here's the other thing that's also pretty interesting. That might actually be Kami now.
Wait. Oh.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's nothing that says that if it is Toga, or if it was Toga back then, because she switched easily into Uraraka's form.
Yep.
That she has to basically remain in the original form.
The only sort of question about... Well, I guess she did that with Uraraka, so it's okay, but that was trying to get to Deku.
I think Uraraka was the clue that it was Toga, because we have the obsession with Deku, the kind of the basically her throwing her body upon Deku. She's attracted to Deku. It's like, okay. But then also the fact that she changed into Uraraka, and it would make sense for anyone that is a character that we had known previously, if she did get blood with them in order to take their form and stuff, that she we would see it on screen. But for characters that are not like in UA, like Kami, for instance, we can just say she got the blood off screen.
Yeah, that's true. One of the things, though, that I would, if I were Toga, now they don't have to do this, but if I was Toga, I would have one body one face, one appearance that I would have basically be my default.
Right.
I would, when I got that person's blood, because it takes a bit to get someone's blood, like that's something they'll remember.
Yeah.
So I would kill them, make them disappear, and just assume them. Right, and then just keep going with whatever it is that they do.
Yes, I do think that would work though if they weren't in a school officiated environment, because then if they find a body, then they're like,
you just need to find some creative way to dispose of the body, and if you can do that, then you can.
Well, right, but I don't think she's necessarily the kind of person who could dispose of the body perfectly. I think in this environment, now that it's going to be an actual rescue kind of situation, I don't know. Because they said they're going to be as bystanders. So is it going to be where the 100 that passed have to save the 1,440 or whatever
didn't. Sure.
that didn't? I think that would be really cool. But the thing is, all Toga would have to do is just hide out and be one of the people that's, I need to be rescued. Right. So that's why I think that this person, essentially Kami, is not Toga.
Gotcha.
Because it's in Toga's best interest to kind of remain off the lenses of others, basically. Also, Toga's not in the contest. Like, she's, I mean, she could be. She could be as Kami. That would
we knew that she didn't have the things for her to be able to be taken out of the contest, but theoretically
she can replicate clothes, so she might be able to replicate the patches, the little targets,
right? Or at the very least, potentially if she could get people out, and even though she's not registered, they'd be like, it's this person or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this next thing will be a rescue op.
This next stage I think is going to be really interesting. Now, I gave the Battle Royale thing criticism, but I like that they brought up in this episode the idea that they need more heroes that are at a higher caliber, not because the threat has necessarily escalated. If anything, the current threat de-escalated. What it is that All Might's lack of presence on the grand scale of things means that others will essentially try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, they've been working with training wheels, and now they're actually going to do it for real.
And another thing that I needed to be reminded of was that the provisional license exam is you will do hero work right after this if you pass.
Yeah.
Meaning that they are taking people that should have had to wait 2 years potentially before doing hero work. I mean, they could have been been
seniors, and it's like, okay, it's going to be real soon.
Maybe they would work officially with a hero agency as their second or third year. Who knows how the whole thing works? But they're doing it early, and bringing in first years into this whole thing to where we could be seeing in 2 weeks Bakugo, Deku, Todoroki, Uraraka, Ida, and those, or whoever passes everything, would end up being out on the streets doing official hero work with official pro heroes, and seen as basically they have their provisional licenses and stuff, but the only thing you have to worry about structure-wise is that you are under the orders of maybe this pro hero or this pro hero.
You know who's someone that would have just done amazingly in this competition that we had?
Shinso.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because all he has to do is be like,
just get
hey,
them
you.
To speak.
They're like, Nani? And then too late. And then
he just tosses them a ball and they just beep, beep, beep,
Well, maybe he has to do it, though. Oh, wait, no, it's his... No, they have tracking things on the individual balls so they know whose is whose. Right?
Sure.
I think they said that in the previous episode.
Or at least if they tag themselves out under the influence of someone else's quirk, then...
Well, right, but that's one of the things where I still have some problems
or he could
with
just
the
say,
Battle
all right,
Royale
stand
thing.
here, and then beep, beep, beep. Yeah.
Right, because they're throwing balls when it's... Yeah, anyway.
And they ended up bringing up that it was just sort of a tagging situation, but even then they said it has to be, like, visible and stuff, but then couldn't you just, like, hold, like, your hands over the spot so that,
Right, the heteromorphic people, like, shift some of their...
Someone
exactly. That makes their body into, dirt
Todoroki
or something.
just covers himself with ice, things like that.
Point being, it's now gone through. Mm-hmm. We're now moving into a rescue stage of everything, and I'm very excited for that because when we had, I think it was episode 4 or 5, when they did the original exam with the robots in order to get them into UA, I really liked the idea of rescue points. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing of being heroes and stuff and destroying robots and stuff, I felt was a little bit like just kind of shonen kind of stuff, and I was like, why? That seems kind of...
That's more battle school than like hero school.
Right, and who cares? That's important too in some instances. But having the entire test only be about rescuing people...
Right.
That's interesting because it brings up a very interesting question. Is this going to be about, like, not numbers? Is this not going to be about how many you save? Because what I could see being an issue here is, let's say people are trying to rescue as many people as possible. I could see someone like Sero and Uraraka actually being the perfect combo.
Oh, yeah.
Because she makes them all light, and he just starts taping everything.
And then they just have this balloon that
just dragging them out and stuff. And maybe they have Deku around to keep falling debris from crushing them or something.
Right.
But he's basically in a support role. How do they say, okay, this person was involved in that rescue, so they get points? Is it a judges-based thing? I think it would be if they have this small of a number. Yeah, but they haven't introduced any judges.
Sure.
So how do they track it? How do they... Is there going to be a problem where they're like, hey, if you tried to steal other people's rescued, people and stuff, then there's that.
Sure.
Or they could make it a time limit thing where it's like, all of you are failing if you don't rescue everyone in like an hour or something.
Yeah,
like there's so many ways they could
die,
do this.
and you need to just see it. Oh, that could be interesting because they could say, all right, unless you're All Might, and none of you are.
None of you are.
You'll need to you won't be able to rescue everybody.
Oh, sure.
So it's the idea that you need to rescue as many as you possibly can, but you also need to realize that sometimes you won't be able to rescue everybody.
Yep.
That could be a way to work in like the whole sort of lesson aspect of these tests.
And teamwork, because you need to be able to listen to someone that has the information gathering, who's like, hey, there are some people over here, there's some people over there, there's some people over there.
Even if you don't necessarily get along with them very well, like, say, Inasa and Todoroki, right?
Yep, or like, Bakugo and Deku,
Yeah, like, Todoroki could make just, like, this big, like, ice slip and slide to get people out of buildings or something. Who knows?
Sure.
Like, they could do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And Inasa could, like, use his wind powers to like funnel them and actually propel them along the ice slide so they just safely get to wherever they need to go.
Yeah, but there's so many different combinations of heroes working together that makes the whole process be expedited. So like I think this is probably going to be one of the coolest moments in MHA, just in terms of students and characters working together and quirks being used in combination, because it's not just simply a battle related thing.
It's not as straightforward. It requires some more creative thinking.
Right. And then also this reminds me of those board games where you have a cooperative goal. You're playing against the game.
Oh, yeah.
Generally, those ones have some of the coolest stories coming out of the game itself.
Right, when you pull off some crazy combo with everybody that just manages to somehow
just
barely work.
Save everyone in the nick of time or something like that. Having something like that off of a battle royale kind of situation, which is basically like the exact opposite. The thing is, the battle royale kind of was telling everyone for themselves, basically. And then they were like, no, we're going to group into our schools and something like that. Now
it's
they're going to be
like they're trying to tell them something, you know.
And now the rescue bit is like, okay, well, now you might have to work with people from other schools and help everyone succeed.
I like that they had the battle royale in there, though, especially that they had it in there first as like basically something to be a counterweight to the rescue op, because for being heroes, right, it's not enough to just be able to pull people out of like burning buildings and things like that. That is heroic, right? But if you're going to be fighting villains as well, right, you need to be able to actually like keep yourself safe so that you can save other people.
Yes, but remember, there are heroes with specific roles. We had fire extinguisher guy. Yeah. He's never going to fight villains.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, pressure washers, they can.
I'm totally with you and stuff, but like I would say the majority of every Nomu that like will ever be encountered in the show.
Nomus are special.
That's my point, though, is that like you can't just have a hero. You can't just only have heroes that are good at everything. You need specialized heroes. You need the Hatsume Mays of the world. I know she's not in the hero course, but
for people that are getting their provisional licenses where it's saying, all right, these guys are the cream of the crop, they can handle themselves right now, they're ready to be pros.
Yes.
Then you do want those sorts of things.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Do you think then this will be the case where a lot of people from Class 1A will not pass because it's something where it's going to be hard to grade specifically, but more so you're going to have people essentially where there's not going to be a thing of like you need to rescue 5 people or something like that each. It's going to be more of the thing of like we have a time limit and we need to see how effective you are under pressure and how well you work together. And then maybe they look at someone like Bakugo and it's like you're a great like battle hero and stuff. But like maybe he needs to change his
Bakugo
approach
could actually
and
be super helpful because let's say they need to like extraction. They're in the middle of a building with collapsed doorways and things like that. Okay, Bakugo's just gonna go up to the wall and just there isn't anyone in that room, so now we can gain access to the building or whatever.
I think his AP shot would actually be even better.
Yep. Now, here's something that I just thought of, and they absolutely don't have to do this, but if they did, that would be really interesting as a new dynamic for a test.
Ooh, okay.
So, the previous one was all about getting them to sort of work on their own, right?
Sure.
So, what if they had the extreme opposite of that, where in order to work together, there's 100 people here, you all pass or fail together.
Right.
And it's like, you have to save as many people as possible. You need to hit this, quota or whatever, like there's a sales team or something. And then it's basically, all right, can you work together? Because one of the things that I could see happening is, as far as the working together aspect, is that if you can't work together with your classmates right now, we don't want you in the field. Because that will end up causing trouble.
I think it might be a combination thing where they'll give like multiple criteria and they look to see which ones people go after.
Sure.
And then it's not going to be a thing of like, this is the final test. It's going to be like, no, this is actually the second to the last test. And the next one might actually be just a legit like Q&A thing. They have to just go and answer a couple questions. And maybe it's going to be, how well did they understand what those tests were about? And then they go, okay, now we're only going to select like 20 people to actually pass total.
Here's another thing that they could do. They could make it so that, like you said, there are all different kinds of heroes. They could basically use this as like, 100 people, unless they do something really horrible, like they're probably going to pass here, right?
Right.
But what we're going to determine is how are they going to be utilized? Where they fit, exactly.
Sure.
So it's like, all right, so you can handle yourself, you're not going to get killed by a villain, and you are able to actually save people, but because you save people in these ways, these are the ways that we want you to actually be like doing work and stuff. We don't want you to try going into some area that's not for your forte, because, that could cause a situation.
Totally. The big kind of plot things that happened this episode, as far as like kind of things to happen was, Kaminari had a little bit of a moment of cool in that Kaminari has really never had the spotlight for any extended period of time because his quirk is one that was unrefined and just raw output.
Yeah, they kind of focused on a lot more of the slapstick characters, actually. Like not so much like Mineta, even though he had his bit there that was great.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
But but those two in particular, Ioma and Kaminari, very much aren't taken seriously very often.
For the majority,
in the majority of the show.
Yeah.
They're just sort of like almost gag characters. So the fact that they did this was great because it took me by surprise. Yeah. But it also, like, hey, gives development to existing characters in some really clever ways.
And I think that's another thing that this kind of provisional license exam thing was meant to do, was to give us a breather from... and this is what we knew to be true originally, it was to give us a breather from the whole villains. One for all for one conflict.
Yeah.
But also now we can upgrade in a minor way. Not as much as, say, Todoroki, but upgrade some of the minor characters to where it's like, hey, they've got character too.
Right. They aren't just their caricature joke thing that you have to bring up every time they're on screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kaminari has a lot of insecurity about whether or not he's actually effective as a hero. So he takes people's, jabs pretty personally. And then the fact that he's like, I gotta figure out some way to do this. And in some ways, he has to lower his power level in order to actually be effective. So that's another kind of an ego hit where it's like he's less overall powerful than he was, but now he's actually able to be a hero and save people without being a threat or a problem to his friends and stuff. So it's like stamina stuff. Yeah. And then we have Ioma with the kind of the opposite thing, where his quirk seems so ineffective half the time, where it's like,
and personality-wise, he seems very ineffective. Like I could not, like, okay, in, say, the rescue out part, maybe now that we've seen this new development, and he's started to really think about things. But before this episode, if I had to say, all right, how good will Ioma be at team-based rescue operations? Not a snowball's chance in hell.
But specifically, we now know why his seemingly narcissistic behavior is a thing, because it's not narcissism. It's false confidence. It's the kind of thing where Ioma was born with a quirk that made him weird. Like that's the thing that I think is really interesting, is that when quirks come to fruition, it's generally around age 4. Well, the thing is, like, you don't even have friends usually until like age 5 or 6, because you're unable to like basic communication. Yeah, like you have playmates.
You might have like buddies that you eat crayons with or something, but like,
but that's the thing. Imagine if you have a quirk where it's like, okay, like I get tougher skin and stuff. It's like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. But this kid has one that probably he couldn't control that well. In that's why he needed that actual focusing thing, is he would just kind of be like, blah, just every once in a while.
That's
and
gotta
maybe
be.
He couldn't have friends. Maybe he had to be alone. He's like, Mom,
maybe he accidentally killed his teacher.
Oh my god! Like, something tells me that it wasn't that strong. But the main point is that I'll bet you it's one of those quirks where it wasn't something that he could really show with his friends and stuff. And everyone else is like, look at my cool quirk. I can make a little fire if things come from my hands.
Whereas when he goes to the beach, he's like, eh. Now, maybe it's because of the world that they're in, like heteromorphic quirks and things like that. People wouldn't be as concerned about things like that, because then it's like, oh, cool, what does this do?
Right.
But the fact that they made it a blank slate. They left it up to the imagination. They put a little bit out there, and just enough. And especially for someone like Ioma, even if it wasn't necessarily something perpetuated by his friends, it could just be something that he was super self-conscious about because he's, say from a wealthy family or something, where like appearance was something they put a lot of value in or something like that, and suddenly he's like, oh no, this is weird.
And as far as we know, we don't know where any kind of, not necessarily oppressive kind of environment or what have you.
Help, I'm being oppressed.
But basically like some kind of, we don't know if his environment was one that was made safer by his family and friends, or one that his family and friends were the ones that were actually making it a little bit kind of,
who knows,
of a problem.
Because they only showed a little bit.
So it leaves it up to the imagination. I think that's overall really well and good, because Ioma's character is not really that big of a deal so far in the grand scheme of things.
And think about it. Just think about this for a second. The idea that they made us interested in more backstory and development for Ioma.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
I mean, that's a feat.
Yeah, and they didn't spend much time. One of the things that I always applaud MHA for is that they seem to know how to efficiently use their time for their characters. Now, I wish that they would, maybe invest more time in certain characters.
Yeah.
But even still, like when they decide to say, okay, let's have Ioma have a little moment here with Ida and have a little bit of backstory tease there. I'm like, yeah, that's great. Let's get more of that. And that just gives me hope for characters that maybe right now they are kind of a caricature, but we like them, but we have no backstory. Like Tokoyami, we have no backstory for him at all. Yep. And I think the mangaka is like, maybe at this point in the story was like terrified of like, are they gonna be birds? Are they gonna be people? Are they gonna be bird people? I don't know.
It's making me think of a meme about Tokoyami's heritage. But one of the things I have to mention, this was like giving me some Incredibles like laughs.
Yeah?
Yeah. How effective Ioma's cape was.
Oh my gosh.
Like the fact that he does something, Ida just grabs his cape and runs.
Drags him right. So much for the no capes. If you have friends,
then capes can be very effective.
Capes can be very helpful.
But if you have enemies, that could be a real problem too.
I just realized that Ioma and Ida are the two knights in shining armor.
Yep, they are the two armor-wearing people.
Yeah,
so, of course, I liked this episode, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But the big thing this episode, the really big thing, the really, really, really big thing.
Bakugo knows.
And, he's barely being subtle about it.
Well, Deku, I think he's intentionally wanting to basically let Deku know, I know what's up.
Well, I think also Deku is smart, so he'll eventually find out, but there is a very real chance that right now he's like, does he know?
It's like when you're wondering about whether someone likes you or not, and it's like, do they? And they might be giving like the most obvious signs.
Obvious signals.
It's like, I don't want to.
Yeah, basically, like if Deku doesn't clue in quickly, I think he might be just like, do I talk to him about it? Do I bring this up? Should I say anything?
He needs to just sit down with her Araka and talk about it with her.
Well, yeah. But also, Bakugo knows, and this is the thing that, is kind of...
complimented Deku.
Yeah, he complimented Deku. Bakugo has been shown to have changed since the whole incident with the League of Villains. It kind of shook him up, I'm sure, just enough. But the thing is, in the opening, not this episode, but this arc, essentially, they have the bit at the end where Bakugo and Deku are looking at basically All Might in his All Might form, and Bakugo doesn't have his hero costume on. And I think there's something. I think there's something vulnerable about that. There's something where
it's Kacchan, not Bakugo.
It's Kacchan, not Bakugo. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, and I think what that is something that's going to come to a head with Deku and Bakugo basically having to sort out some things.
Gotcha.
And specifically around the whole topic of All Might. And if Bakugo knows now, we've cleared a huge hurdle before there can be because one of the dreams we have obviously is that as Bakugo grows, there's this possibility that Bakugo and Deku will be like this unstoppable combo together. And it's they have to go through some really really silly, immature things because they
Bakugo
have all this history.
Is a tsundere, right? The thing is, he's a quality tsundere where he's not going to blush in the first episode. You know.
But yes, if we need to have them essentially work together, we need to go through basically all this other stuff. But the reconciling of Bakugo being basically on the same page with Deku, and Bakugo basically on some level having to internalize and acknowledge that this is why. Because he remember, all throughout season 1 and 2, he's so pissed. How? How is this happening? Well, now he knows.
Now he knows, and now
what is he gonna do?
And here's the thing: it's also something that kind of strokes his ego because it's Deku has All Might's quirk,
right?
And Deku sees Kacchan as a rival and a competitor and all that stuff, and basically that as being an equal. So it's taking something where originally he saw Deku as being a nobody, and he's saying, "Why are you trying to be an equal with me? I'm all awesome."
You said Deku sees Bakugo as an equal. Do you mean to say Bakugo sees Deku
No. It's that because Deku has always been doing that whole thing of like chasing after Bakugo and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and it bugged Bakugo because he's like, "You're a nobody.
You shouldn't be able to chase me.
You shouldn't be able to chase me." Yeah. Because that basically he feels like Deku's trying to bring him down. Right? Because he's supposed to be so far ahead. But now it's one of the most sincere, amazing compliments Deku could ever give Bakugo.
Yeah.
Because he literally has the power.
The quirk.
And he still thinks this highly of Bakugo.
Right. So, will this communication end up being received well on both ends?
What I want to see is I want to see Bakugo cover for Deku and tell Todoroki, yes, he is actually all the secret love child.
Yes! That's never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen.
But that would be so
good.
funny.
It would be so good.
And Todoroki's gonna be like, I knew it.
And then Bakugo, like, next time he sees Deku, he's like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, I can't believe I had to cover for you like that. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Babaka.
Yeah. I think that I think there's going to be some good development of the two of them together, and it's going to be through some like heartfelt communication, not necessarily anytime soon, but this whole development is going to lead to that eventually, because I think that Bakugo still kind of blames himself for the whole incident.
Sure.
Because if we think about it, Deku blames himself for Bakugo being taken because he thinks that he wasn't fast enough, or
he could have saved him.
He could have saved him. But Bakugo is the one that was there.
Right.
He was the
doesn't
one that
like the
rescued.
idea of being the damsel in distress.
Right. That's the tsundere part.
Yeah.
But specifically, Bakugo has had moments where you've seen that he will easily be willing to break and tear down himself and who he is and remold himself so that he can be the best hero, the greatest hero.
Exactly.
And yet, when this whole incident happened, he had all of his agency taken away from him. He had all of his ability to choose. Like, it was the best thing ever for Bakugo to feel like when they removed his restraints and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just like, come here. I'm going to kill you all. Like, I'll take down 5 or 6 of you before they show up. Like,
I have a lot of pent-up rage and aggression that I really want to vent right now.
But none of that meant anything. Nope. Like, he was... He was...
The best thing he could do was escape.
Yep. And... I think that there's a lot of pent-up anger at himself. Specifically, like the guilt and shame aspect of it.
He does burn hot.
But it's the kind of thing that him and Deku actually share. One of the things that Deku and Bakugo have never been able to do is to be able to identify with each other at the same time. They have moments...
Except for maybe that point. Yeah.
But like, in terms of also being able to communicate that...
It's the communication where it really just sort of doesn't work out.
So looking forward to like more development on this area of things, specifically with Bakugo, but also in Deku hopefully being at a stage where he can communicate better than he has in the past. Basically, that Deku will be able to not screw up his verbiage, because Bakugo really gets him on where Deku will try and sugarcoat things or try and like try and manipulate the conversation so that things are less, I would say, less kind of I don't know.
Bakugo says things. He has no filter.
Yeah, he's no filter.
So when Deku talks through a filter, it bugs him.
Of course, it bugs him. Yeah.
One of the things that I just randomly thought of. So we saw the Invisible Girl actually do some sort of active quirk usage of light bending stuff, which was awesome. That tells us a bit about her quirk.
Best girl to do something cool.
But this is something that I thought of.
What's that?
What would happen if Toga got some of Invisible Girl's blood?
Is the blood even visible?
Well, that's a good question. And because if it's heteromorphic, then it would be something where Toga would then become invisible, right? Because she takes on their appearance and...
I don't know if she takes their quirk, though.
Okay,
I don't think she does. Because remember how when Uraraka was falling and didn't use...
Well, no, I know. But it's specifically in the case of Toru, if it is a heteromorphic thing, which now it seems like it might not be, but if it were, then that would be technically her appearance, even though it's something that was based around her quirk. So would she just get her appearance without the quirk, or would she get the appearance as she is with her quirk? You know, just because that's how she is all the time or whatever. But if that's the case, that would be terrifying, because then Toga could be invisible and she could go anywhere and get blood from anybody in their sleep or whatever.
Yes. But you know what you're not thinking of that's way sillier is...
She's already the Invisible Girl.
No. Is that the Invisible Girl can now use a part of her quirk actively.
Oh, yeah.
Which means... Which means she can turn it off if she worked hard enough.
Which also begs the question of, like, you know, but this is the clever block. Aizawa, he has to see them to use his quirk. I'm saying it's one of those things where when he just uses it on the whole class.
I didn't say anything about Aizawa.
I know. But if it's a thing that is not just a heteromorphic, then that means it can be used, which means it can be turned off,
he has to see their eyes. He has to make eye contact.
Was it eye contact?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
At least I'm But the thing is, he's not seeing her.
Right. Exactly. So that's a clever way of working around that. It's one of those technical things that I would hope they would always have a way to basically say, yes, it makes sense, and that is something we will never have to deal with, because that would be really frustrating if they did. And with how freely Aizawa uses his quirk, it is something that I could see.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I know this is a dumb thing to kind of go deep into, but with the Invisible Girl's quirk, I never assumed it was heteromorphic, because specifically with like how it works and stuff, all it needs to be is a passive thing. A passive quirk does not equal a heteromorphic quirk.
That's true.
And all she needs to do now is to continue to work on how to use it more actively. That was literally what we saw here.
Yep. And potentially, if it's something like that, then she could potentially extend it to other things. Because if she's manipulating light, and that's how she makes herself invisible, and she's just invisible all the time, and she was able to do that blinding bit,
right? But
she could theoretically bend the light so that she makes other people invisible too.
Right, but it might be not that she can manipulate light anywhere. It's light that's essentially light that's bouncing off her. She catches it in some way, and then manipulates it.
Yeah.
So
makes it pass through her in a certain way. So
right, what it could also be is light is basically all basis for color. So she could give herself a silhouette too.
Sure. Yeah.
she could do all kinds of things. Okay. Maybe she could get into the disguise kind of business.
Now, okay, here's something. She specifically said refraction. That means it's something about the light passing through her. Or I mean, that could just be flavor text. But like you think like getting refracted by like those triangle things that like split it into like the prisms or whatever.
I think all it would need to be is just use the fact that she's a 3-dimensional being, and you know it bounces within itself all over the skin.
I love how you pointed to a very specific. I
know what I'm doing, Jacob.
Refractive different combinations.
But anyway, let's move on.
Yeah,
I think we're basically done with this episode. We're looking forward to the rescue stuff.
Yep.
I want to see new cool quirk combinations. I want to see people working with others outside of their class or even their school.
I want to see Toga. I want to see her do more shenanigans and have it actually be Toga.
I want Toga to do something.
Right.
And it's probably Toga. Like, let's be real here. Like, it's the kind of thing where you can tell they want it to be a decent twist, but like it's pretty obvious. I mean, like it could be that like the twist will be whether or not Kami is still Toga.
Sure, whether Kami's like still alive, even.
Well, that's the thing is like, let's say Kami is going to be in this next 100 rescuing stuff. Deku sees, Deku sees her,
and he's like, I don't trust you.
You. And she's what's the deal about it? And she's like, who are you?
Yeah, right.
And she's like, oh, you're the popular kid with the UA, and you fought Todoroki. And he's gonna be like, you don't know me?
Which is fantastic, because that means Deku can start getting a little bit of a yandere radar. Anytime a girl likes you, that means that she's Toga, which means that Uraraka... Now, Uraraka and Toga, how they would express their feelings is very, very different.
Next thing, watch. Oh, wait a minute. I'll mention that in a second. But like, next thing we're gonna see is it's gonna be it's like one of the guys that like had like very little like character development, like Sato, and he's gonna be like Deku, like, or he's gonna have like Deku, like a creepy voice coming from his big muscular body, and it's gonna be like, Sato, what's wrong with your voice? Nothing's wrong with my voice.
I'm about to kick your face off because I think you're like a blood sucking sociopath, psycho person.
But I wanted to bring up something. There was a very cool little continuity thing that happened. I think it might have been the last episode or 2 episodes ago. But the point is that Kami or Toga scratched his face, and blood.
Oh.
We don't know how much blood Toga needs.
Oh.
And remember how we never really figured out whether or not she meant that she got 3 people's worth or something?
We know she didn't get that much from Uraraka.
Well, no, but she got probably the most from Uraraka than anyone else.
And I think she might have actually gotten some from Sue, because I think she cut Sue's tongue.
Yes, but So let's look out for Sue, a second Deku.
Yeah.
Or more Uraraka.
Or Inasa. Because he hit his head on the concrete.
Oh, God, you're right.
Yeah,
okay.
So she's just racking up her list.
But the thing is, we don't know if she can work with that little amount.
We don't know if she expends the blood. Like, is the material component expended upon casting of the spell, or is it reusable? Like, we need to know these things. But
we need to know these things.
Like, does it expire after a while? Does it need to be within like a week or something?
Right. Like she's basically got like this blood bank like hidden like hideout and stuff with like refrigerated packets of blood, and she's just like, "Who am I gonna be today?" She like pops open a little hole.
She just has like a deck of cards with each card having like a little splotch of blood on each one,
and she'll do like a paper cut,
Yeah.
And she's like,
well, that way she can just like pull it out and just be like, okay, this one, yeah.
She's like,
and then she just like licks, yeah. She just licks the blood off, and then there we go.
There's so many things, but guys, we're excited for the next episode. We'll hopefully be caught up really soon with all of these. But yeah, we'll be getting back to doing these week to week and stuff. Edit them as fast as possible. If you want to see full-length reactions to any of these, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can also get into discussion on our Discord by supporting any level of our Patreon. That gets you access to that. You can chat with us week to week as the episodes come out, or just chat with us in general about whatever. Anything that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.